I am Etzion from Israel, Haifa. Today is the 7th of November, 2024. As usual, we start with a musical piece. Since supposedly we finished one war against Lebanon, and here in Israel we continue the skirmishes or fights with the Gaza Strip, whatever that is. The free forces of Syria started to fight against the former regime, a civil war which is going on for the past 12 or 14 years since the so-called Arabic Spring had sprung into existence. We in the Middle East know that if you speak about Arabic Spring, there cannot be no more but another Arabic conflict, unfortunately. Everything is happening or moving in our dear Arabic Muslim brothers only by violence, unfortunately. The whole thing is like this. So last week I shared with you a musical piece from the first day before the Independence Day, which is going to be next May. Israel was established on the 15th of May, 1948, according to the United Nations resolutions, which the entire Arabic world rejected. It started a war of extermination against a small group of people who just came here and bought a few pieces of land to try to find a little spot of survival on the hostile planet. But it's a long issue which I dealt in the past. I will be dealing with it later on, most likely. Since I am participating with Facebook, sometimes I have noted many people associated with Meherabad, that the situation here between Israel and the Arabs disturbs them a lot. And of course, naturally, they are siding with the Arabic side for whatever reason, as if they got the knowledge of what is good and what is bad. Hi, Lutfi. I'm already recording the session. I don't hear you. If you are here, fine. If not, I'll continue. So I'll continue sharing the piece of music I shared last week. We were commemorating the fallen comrades on the war between Israel and the Arabic countries. And the past year, at least 800 Israeli soldiers were added to this long list of non-stop wars and skirmishes with the Arabic world. And it doesn't seem that it's going to stop soon. So I'll share with you this musical piece from last week.
זיכרונו לברכה. רב טוראי יעקב תורג'מן, זיכרונו לברכה.
לזכרם של חללי פעולות האיבה יוזמנו אותה נציגי המשפחות להדליק אבוקת זיכרון ולהניח זרים. דוד שמעון אביבס, זיכרונו לברכה.
יחזקאל, זיכרונו לברכה. שלמה ימין, זיכרונו לברכה.
אלכסנדר לבלוביץ', זיכרונו לברכה. שמואל סמי מלכה, זיכרונו לברכה. מלכה נחום, זיכרונו לברכה. דוד נפו, זיכרונו לברכה. שמעון סוויסה, זיכרונו לברכה.
מיכאל עזרא, זיכרונו לברכה. עזיזה אחמדי, זיכרונה לברכה. יהי זכרם ברוך.
While we were playing, the names of the fallen comrades were being announced to the public. That's a ceremony that is happening in each town or city in Israel before the Day of Independence to honor the soldiers, men and women who lost their lives for the sake of the community. And again, I share musical piece because in music, we can witness a few individuals who come together and work together with harmony. And this is a reminder of the spiritual circle, and I keep on reminding it because I think I'm the only person in this community, other communities, who keep on saying it. Without this, humanity will never be able to be rehabilitated. And if you seek for peace, there's only solution. First and foremost, of course, we have to make peace and forgiveness in our hearts. So it's the basic. And the second step, to collect such a group of individuals, peaceful individuals, not externally, but internally, and make them work together and create a spiritual circle, which eventually the spiritual circles will reinstate the spiritual government on earth, and then we'll have peace on earth. That's the way it's going to be. And if we are not going to do it, wars will continue. And because wars are a mirror in our faces, we spiritual people, when we get upset, when we see wars, then we should know that we are the creators of these wars. Why I'm saying it? Because this is what Baba told me in person as a revelation, supposedly, or insight, when I went to the wars, already from 74. He told me, you are the cause for the war. You caused it. And he told me this because I was willing to accept the truth, whatever it is, as bitter and harsh as it is. Because the truth will make you free. If you're not willing to look at the mirror, you'll keep on rolling in the mazes of illusory creation till you will be willing to look at the mirror. That's a law. I'm not inventing anything. That's what it's going to be. If you have doubt, you don't need to accept what I'm saying as if I'm opposing a spiritual authority, but you delve into Baba's teachings, problems of Skara, the problems of war. He speaks about all these things. That's what it is. Now, after this, we'll continue with our reading of the book of Genesis, and after the book of Genesis, we'll have some Baba stories, as usual. Continue with Mehera stories or whatever. I will look in the Israeli Meherabad site. We have all kinds of anecdotes and stories there. I shared you in the past. I'll continue sharing it this time. Let's see what we got here. Book of Genesis. How's it? Here we are. We moved through all these stages from the very beginning of Genesis, the creation, which is the shattering of oneness to manyness to endless individuals. Each one of us is a bubble or a cell in the story of creation. We became separated from oneness, and we have to go back to oneness with super consciousness or God realization or whatever you call it. The name doesn't matter. Now the creation started, and there came the fall of man. The fall of man is that we try to improve the creation, and without true knowledge. And without true knowledge, when we try to fix problems, we only create further distortions, create further destruction. Now the avatar comes. The avatar is being the manifestation of the divine, of oneness amongst humanity, the fallen humanity. The divine being comes periodically to re-establish spirituality, the core of spirituality on earth, even through one person. Abraham renews monotheism. We discussed before what monotheism is. It's a union of the manyness with a group or a fraternity of divine beings who achieve perfection. In Hebrew, here in the Bible, it is being called Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh Elohim, the Elohim are in plural, Yahweh is singular, meaning, to my understanding, is understood it, that the manyness returns to oneness under the directive of the Godhood. Meaning, actually, literally, that Godhood reappears on earth through this entity. And each one of us, is entitled to participate in this fraternity. You don't need to achieve God realization for this. We spoke about this before. We'll speak it later on. What are the conditions to participate in this auspicious group? It is open for any individual, no matter what he did, immaterial. Abraham is a cosmic phenomenon. His appearance in the earthly world stems from the Creator's assertion that he is sorry that he created the human race. This is mentioned just before the flood. And this, what the Creator said, we should look in the book of Genesis, make a printout with very bold letters and put it on our desks. Because it seems to me that most of us don't realize that we, all of us, are on parole. We were giving again and again time to rectify the wrongs of this world, or karma will assert itself, meaning this statement of the creators that the paralaya or the dissolution of this world is inevitable. And the gods of the creation keep on allow this distorted world to continue for the sake of very few who are willing to tread the path. How long they're going to do this, I have no idea, of course. It's not within my ken. I don't know. It's none of my business. Abraham has the power and authority to change the fate of the human race. It is interesting to know what the sages of the nation say about Abraham. Some of them, anchored in Eastern wisdom, call him Avatar. Avatar is Sanskrit term meaning the incarnation of divinity on earth. The intention is to realize this level of consciousness, of course. We know that Baba said that Abraham was an avatar, and I suspect there are other sources about this. But in this book, when we study the life of Abraham and what happened, and later on, he is the head of the spiritual hierarchy. You need to learn how to read between the lines of the book of Genesis. And then we'll see time and again that it is concealed that Abraham is a head of the spiritual hierarchy. At the beginning of the series of articles and at the end of chapter 1 of the book of Genesis, there appears the being Yahweh Elohim, whom I see as a symbol of the new state of consciousness that has been created in the universe. The return to the primal unity of creation, but with a super consciousness. Super consciousness means that an individual understands the essence and purpose of creation. He sees the world from one end of the world to the other end. When he observes any individual, he is able to see all life chapters he has undergone since entering creation as an individual, something that is not accessible to the average person. It is, in fact, the manifestation, the revelation of the saying, we will become a man in our image, in our likeness, from a spiritual point of view. Meaning that the creation of man, that we, after we assume the human body, we have to create ourselves on earth as spiritual people in the image and likeness of God. Not just as the physical form. The physical form is actually nothing. If we remain with the physical form alone, we are no more but talking animals, as Baba said. The purpose of earthly creation is to fulfill the divine values on earth. Earthly creation is not where we manifest in the body to satisfy our desires and wants. I have to correct things sometimes. I'll do it later. The physical world is nothing but a scaffolding that allows us to learn, to practice, to make mistakes, to succeed, to study the secrets of creation, usually in great pain, unfortunately. And finally, and this is the hope, to fulfill the goal of creation, which is the return to initial oneness. The individuals who have succeeded in fulfilling the purpose of creation are creating what I call the circle of Yahweh Elohim. It is a state in which individuals work together in perfect harmony. An earthly person will not be able to understand this state of consciousness until he reaches this level of consciousness. And the way to do so is not only inner work that deals with erasing all the inner darkness that has accumulated in the subconscious during the processes of evolution, but mainly practicing and specializing in joint harmonious activity, similar to a group of musicians who act precisely and perfectly under the guidance of a conductor. The circle of Yahweh Elohim also has a focus, like the conductor. All creation follows this example. Everything is a center, a focus, around which all things orbit. From the basic atom to the mightiest galaxies, excluding humanity. The missing link is not an ape, but humanity, which refuses, we humans, we refuse to fulfill our mission. It's not that we don't know, we have to study. No, we refuse to do this. That's the truth. We have been given endless opportunities to come back to alignment. Again and again, we spoiled it, we dropped it, and then we keep on judging each other and complaining. You just go ahead and check our darling Baba lovers, how they condemn others. This is good, this is bad, this is this, all the time. Maybe we should take Baba's discourses where he speaks about the nature of the ego and its termination and the problem of sanskaras and see what he's saying about this. Maybe you should, instead of wasting your time on judgment, take the discourses and study them 20, 30 times, as I have been doing. And it is never enough. It's not enough to read it, but to implement it. Abraham is a senior member of this exalted circle. All the prophets and men of virtue mentioned in the Torah, as well as all the men of virtue who walked around the world in all nations to rehabilitate the human race, who brought messages of brotherhood and peace to a humanity torn by hopeless desolation, are members of this circle. And every person who aspires to live a life of harmony and peace is a natural candidate for membership in this circle. It is not a closed circle for those who know the mysteries, but the natural goal of creation. And we are all entitled to be included there if we act by virtue of this understanding. Thanks for reading this material and keep on finding corrections. Abraham came to change the apparent divine assertion that the Creator is sorry for creating humankind, which means that our existence on earth has become a bother rather than a blessing to Mother Earth. Humans who sank into selfishness and unbridled lust for power and control over their friends in order to glorify themselves actually curse the earth and turn the world into hell. The earth, for its part, which should be called Mother Earth, is a living being with consciousness and feelings like us. Consciousness already exists in the initial particles of creation. Life is not a state in which the most complicated accumulation of molecular errors results in a mechanism that generates consciousness. The truth is quite the opposite. Consciousness generates the complicated molecular states, and through the resulting bodily organs, individual consciousness can manifest itself on Earth. By the way, also on my Meherabad Israel site, I placed the 6 books of Upasni Maharaj. while visiting the ashram and reading the book many years ago, I was quite deeply touched by the master of Meherabad. We know the whole process of Meherabad had to undergo with Upasni. In one of the talks of Upasni, planet Earth went to the gods to complain about us, humans. And the gods are telling planet Earth, have patience. Suffer for a while longer. Suffering of the earth, the elements, the mineral, plants, and the animal kingdoms is beyond our wildest imagination. If you would hear the cry of the creation due to our failure to guide it, all of us would be blown away. All of us would lose consciousness. I don't know what would happen to all of us. The conscious state of a person like Abraham is equivalent to the combined states of consciousness of all the human individuals who exist on earth if they all work together in perfect unity like an orchestra comprised of billions of musicians. This wonderful orchestra exists within each of us. 50 trillion cells operate in perfect unity over many years, making our appearance possible on Earth. Each human body, science suggests, has at least 50 trillion cells, and all of them are working with perfect accord, with perfect union. Why can't we do this? If such a group of individuals who can be called one of the organs start playing their music, ignoring the whole orchestra, then chaos will occur in the body, which will inevitably lead to its destruction. The breakdown of the harmonic circle is what we now call death. Death occurred when we broke the harmonious circles of existence, turned our backs on the supreme leadership of the world, and began to create the world by the power of our limited and restricted minds. The human mind is suitable for building tools and solving physical problems, but it is neither intended nor able to understand the riddle of creation, its purpose and its solution. Abraham's appearance is actually the solution to the riddle of creation, by virtue of his personality that fulfills the supreme values on earth. It comes to neutralize the creator's assertion that creation of humankind is a mistake, and establishes the possibility of creating a system that will justify the existence of humanity on earth. The existence of the avatar on earth counterweights the entire activities of the entire humanity and the entire creation, the entire universe. If you put on a scale the avatar on one side and the entire creation on the other side, the avatar is stronger. Just one individual. That's why he's coming here. Abraham's tent is open to the four earthly planes of existence, east and west, north and south. The tent is a structure in the material world that is flexible, simple, easy to assemble and fold, easy to load onto a cart, harnessed to a strong animal and change place. The tent fulfills Abraham's flexible mind, which is open to view reality without any rigid concepts. The open tent of Abraham appears in the commentaries, the Jewish commentaries about Abraham, that his tent was open to four sides to accept guests, that everybody, all humans, were his children. And what's happening today with us, each home is a fortress with 10 locks and bodyguards and the alarm It only signifies the breakdown of humanity. Everybody hates everybody and nobody trusts anybody. This total disintegration of humanity. Abraham was a very wealthy person. He had an army of 300 men. He could have built himself a strong defensive fortress, but he was a flexible man open to change. Abraham is a conductor of the divine orchestra. He came awaken, renew, and manifest the divine music on earth. Every musical event requires precise harmonic activity of all those involved under the strict supervision of the focus, the authority, which we refer to him or her as a conductor or manager. People have abandoned the paradise of supreme harmonies, deciding for some reason that with their intellectual power, they will create a better world than the Creator is capable of. The earthly man does not want some higher element to tell him what to do and how. Since we have freedom of choice, we decided it was better. The results are constant struggles and wars between groups of people who also quarrel amongst themselves incessantly. The very groups who feel like we are one nation or one tribe, it's not only the fight with the other tribes and nations, but the fight between themselves. Everybody is fighting between themselves. Like here in our little country, we have many Jewish or Israeli factions fighting between themselves, and our Arabic neighbors. Here in Israel, everybody are fighting between themselves. Arabs are fighting with the Arabs. The crime level between the Israeli Arabs is tremendous, 3 times worse than the average Israeli crime level. And the situation with what you call Palestine, or the whatsoever the Arabic sector in Israel, the land of Israel, it's also worse. Everybody's fighting with everybody. The whole human race. Abraham chose to return to creation despite what traditions claim that he reached spiritual perfection in the ancient past and no longer needs to visit the physical world, which is actually the school of the universe. But he and his team come again and again to lend us a helping hand, which we repeatedly reject and complain after the tragic consequences of facing us. Where is God? How did he abandon us? Actually, a ridiculous joke. God never abandoned us, and there was never hidden face. Hidden face is situations that we complain. It's in Hebrew, the free translation from Hebrew, meaning like we don't experience the presence of God on earth. We don't experience it because in the story of the Garden of Eden, as I told it before, it is not that God kicked us out of the garden, that we told Mr. God, just go away from me, we'll do a better job. Just the same as our group of musicians will tell the conductor, go away from here, we will manage. We 30, 40 musicians, they put us together. We can never work together with harmony without the conductor. It's not possible. We simply cannot do it. This is a fact. And this tells us how to rehabilitate humanity, so the spiritual circles. We have to learn to work together under the directive of conductor. In this situation, should be somebody who has more spiritual understanding than the entire group. In my musical bands, I don't think they have any understanding whatsoever about what we are saying. They're doing it because we enjoy the music, and we know that in order to develop music, we have to work together, study the instrument, and obey the conductor. Otherwise, there's no music. This, at least, we understand. Okay. We stop the sharing. Let's see what I'm going to continue sharing with you. I was thinking you heard it well.
Sorry.
You heard what was offered? Okay, wonderful. We'll keep on sharing from my website. I would like. I'm having a good time sharing Mehera stories. Mehera is the key focal point in my life from the very beginning. Baba walked into my life back there 72. He gave me Baba realization. This is not being called God realization. I don't know what it is. And Baba realization, meaning that I understood that he is whatever he is. And much more than this. And presumably that moment when he gave me this realization, I understood the role of Mehera, presumably. From where I got it, I have no idea. Past life or something, I have no idea. What is behind the veil, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. All matters what we have been doing at the moment. So I was thinking to share for my Meir Baba Israel site another Mehera story. And then disappeared, huh? Get this thing nevertheless. Heard it. Yeah. Cannot hide itself too long. This machine has its own life. Need to be kind and compassionate to all these electronic devices. As we said, everything has some consciousness. So we have to respect it. Baba stories. I used to write Baba stories to entertain. I wrote it to Baba. All these stories were not written for the community initially. I used to make jokes to Baba just to remove some or ease up a little bit of his universal burden. We often worry about ourselves and thrash our anxieties on him. And here I was like telling all kinds of, was making all kinds of funny skits in imagination, just for his amusement. And what I felt while I'm doing it, that he would have some good time with my jokes, my Baba stories. And Mehera appears often in my some of my Baba skits. And I call this skit or story Mehera's Cake. let's see, which year was this? I think. Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. It's okay. It was, I think, 2002 or 2003 when I wrote the thing. I think from the year 2000, 2001, I started to write the skits till a few years ago. The last one I read last week, the most wonderful garland in the universe. That was the last skit I wrote. Sometimes these skit, these stories, would start to percolate in my mind, in my mental imagination, and then I would weave a story around some of these insights. I was about to take my afternoon holy nap when the court Abdal appeared suddenly before me, wearing the most serious expression I have seen on his otherwise facetious-looking countenance. Court Abdal is a slave in Arabic, a being which or who obeys divine command without any thought whatsoever. These are beings with no, I will call it, they have no free will whatsoever, like the angels. But Abdal is a messenger of God also in Sufism. Muabba wants you at his court right away, he said sternly. I hurriedly put my clothes on and ran behind him, wondering to myself, what is the wrong thing I've done now to be rushed to the court? I keep on saying there is a court in the universe. Baba is the head of the court, and you see all the divine beings surrounding him. Baba's court was packed with gods and lords, all beaming and sparkling like lustrous suns. Quite amazing. In the center of the court, an octagonal-shaped table was standing on one leg. It was made of millions of diamonds, sapphires, rubies, topaz, emeralds, garnets, opals, agates, amethysts, aquamarines, onyxes, jaspers, all 12 precious stones, emanating dazzling beams of light. I actually gathered all these names from the internet, so I'm not sure if I pronounce all these elements properly. All the sparkling stones were moving constantly as if the table was made of an airy substance or liquid, but at the same time it seemed to be most solid. I was staring hypnotized at this marvel. Then this so-called table was a living entity made of the minerals, conscious minerals, who came to glorify the beloved. Mehera walked in dressed with her celestial gown, which was made of endless constellations of suns. She was surrounded by thousands of gopis who were holding the heads of the celestial god. Gopis are the ladies who serve the Radha, the consort of Krishna, etc. She was glowing with the most stunning beauty a human ever seen. Her past earthly frame resembled just a pale image of her true self. Mehera was carrying in both hands a big parcel. All the gods and lords rose up with admiration.
But Baba, who kept being seated on his throne, beaming with sweet eyes at his Mehera. Mehera placed a parcel on the table with solemn face and walked out. Baba turned to me, saying, "Open the parcel up." I had tied the knot and removed the cover. Inside was one of Mehera's famous cakes, and on top of it was written in chocolate letters, "God realization." Baba and all the gods and lords were extremely glorious and brilliant. I was dazzled and tried to focus my vision. "Eat the cake," commanded Baba. But I was staring at it hesitatingly, completely puzzled. "You want me to eat the God realization cake of Meher?" I managed to utter at last. Yes, yes, Baba remarked. "We all decided unanimously to grant you God realization." And all the lords and gods were beaming with assent. But I kept on looking at it with uncertainty. "Why are you hesitating?" roared Baba, while gazing at the cake expectantly. "I'm not sure," I managed to mumble finally. Baba and all the gods and lords looked at each other with utter disbelief. "It is not the time to hesitate," Baba thundered. "You have been toiling for it for billions of years. We're happy with your efforts. Eat it." I kept on looking at it. Baba became impatient. "If you won't eat it right away, the opportunity will go away, and when the next one will come, even I don't know. Besides, we all would like to share a slice." If you never tasted Mehera's cake, you don't know what real heaven means. Mehera was baking it for a whole week together with 30,000 gopis for the Milky Way, and this is the way you respect her? Baba's face turned red. "Yes, Baba, I finally composed myself. I'm aware of this unique privilege, but this is not a good idea." Baba, the lords and the gods simply looked at each other with complete astonishment. Since the beginning of creation, no one ever refused Mehera's cake. Baba turned at the Sai, but the Sai only pointed at his temple, signifying madness. In my former stories, Sai sitting on the right side of Baba and Upasni on the left side. "Baba, what have you been telling me all this time? For whom I have been walking all these long, tedious cycles. You have been working for my creation, of course. You have done your best. Now is the time for the next step. And what your lovers are going to say is that I serve you because you gave me a perfect man, and thus I never make mistakes? Both of them are not willing to serve you, with a constant excuse that they are not ready yet. They will serve you only when they will be perfect. They are worried to make mistakes in your cause and pay the price for it." Baba and all the lords and gods couldn't say a word. "You offer me to be a general in your army, and I'm just a corporal, barely. What is the difference between a general and corporal in your army?" Baba laughed at my seeming idiocy. "You have been serving me for ages, that is true, and you have tried your best sometimes. But say you have been working only with 5% of your capabilities, and now you will work 100% perfectly. No mistakes, no missing paragraphs. In your translations, you will always find the right and accurate words, sentences to express my messages. You will write music that in my Beethoven never dreamt about. You will bring science and medicine to undreamt of frontiers. And all this you want to brush off?"
When I work for you, what is the difference between 5% and 100%? Work is work, true. I am constantly making mistakes. You can ask John Stevens how much trouble he had to go through till he managed to get for me a proper version of the Hebrew discourses. Still, I made all this with my limited human capacities. And this meant to encourage your lovers to work for you wherever they are without hesitation. I handle my lovers quite well without you, laughed Baba at my supposed presumptuousness. Baba pulled out a thick folder and took out a bunch of papers. See how many emails John sent me over the years concerning you and the troubles you gave him. He called you an oaf. And he is right. An oaf in Hebrew means mischievous chicken. What shall I do? Am I not a son of the great mischievous chicken? And all the lords and gods broke out laughing. Oaf in Hebrew is off. Off is the chicken. And we have one chicken roaming in our yard at the moment. We have a pet chicken. Anyway, would you like to know why we decided to grant you this new capability of service? I was thinking very hard, tracing back my current lifespan like a person who was sentenced to death. Not much of Albert Schweitzer nor Mother Teresa. Gandhiji, forget it. Even didn't to scratch their ankles. Not a mighty general who saved the country from her enemies. Nor a statesman who brought peace to a rather shattered land. Nothing. True, I gave once in a while a coin to a lady beggar in the center of Jerusalem. What about the millions of beggars in India alone? Feeding the stray cats, I whispered at last. Baba collapsed, laughing hysterically for 2 minutes. Feeding the cats? Do you think we would reward you for feeding cats? I have never asked you for any reward in this lifespan, I answered calmly, wishing that the earth would open her mouth and swallow me in. Lord realization is not a reward, answered Baba with this sweet, cunning smile. Only then you will start to render real service. Till now, you only practiced. Then all of a sudden, Baba became all seriousness and sent a quick glance at the side. The side just nodded his head with assent. Where is the court Abdal when he is needed? Exclaimed Baba angrily, looking at all directions. I'm right here, your lordness, responded at once Abdal, shooting out from his hiding place between the toes of Lord Moses. You know how it goes with generals. If they don't see you, you do not exist. Bring the commanded file, ordered Baba. Gabriel took out a very old, ancient leather briefcase, and for me took out 2 large stone tablets. Carve on it the 12th commandment. Whatsoever you do to my little ones, whatsoever I do to you. In the same way, you treat my creation, and the creation will treat you. You know, on the tablets, there are 10 commandments. Now Baba is giving 2 more commandments. I have a special soft spot for my little creatures, pointed Baba towards me, and from his eyes a steel spark flashed, and my heart sank with trepidation. Now I have all the 12 commandments complete after 3,000 years. Baba looked pleased at Lord Moses. What you suggest is very appealing to us, but no. Not for this I have been impressed with all this internal work you have been doing for me. Your tedious, boring, gray, silent work with all the mountain of rubbish I dumped on your head before you were born. Tell me, since you replaced my curry, many persons heard my name. I tried to count with my fingers and then started counting my toes. I was never good at math, maybe 200. Maybe a couple of thousand. Do you know how many people I have touched through you since you have placed all your sanskar at my disposal? Started counting my fingers and toes, but quickly realized that I don't have enough fingers. Couple of thousands, I said shyly. Many millions. Do you know how many times you got married since you started imitating your supposedly separate individuality? You said once that we take millions of lifespans on Earth. Until recently, we used to marry for women. I am afraid we will need a supercomputer to figure it out. See the point and be clever. For a change, Baba sighed. I cannot help anyone unless they ask me personally. You are giving free will. Planet Earth is a free will zone, and we respect it. We would never interfere with your choices, even when these choices will doom you to hell. My ignorant children have chosen to forsake me, so they sink deeper and deeper into the mazes of illusory creation. And by now they suffer and suffer overwhelmingly. I am eager to help, but at this stage they are wearing on their heads helmets of thick lead made of ignorance, and my love cannot penetrate through it. When you at last decided to surrender to me, when you lastly realized that your efforts are in vain, you have brought before me not only your little self, but also the endless relations you have had. From the very beginning, from minerals to humans, each step you made closer to me opened a way for them to come closer to me. When you were walking tediously on your eternal scars makeup, you were actually walking for all of them. You were erasing their scars even a little bit, and thus you have opened the option before them to come to me. For this silent, consistent work of yours, we decided to give the best means of rendering perfect service. God relation. What say you now? I'm still convinced that this will make a bad impression on your lovers. Most of them refuse to do any work for you before they will be perfect. And this is a dire mistake on their side. Anyway, what will happen if I don't take it? I will not be able to work for you anymore? Baba smiled with assurance. You know that you will all have my companionship for keeps, with one condition. Yes, Baba, the 11th commandment. You shall not harbor any resentment whatsoever in your heart realm against anyone, whomsoever, under any circumstance. Here I'm writing the 11th commandment. Baba was grinning. Seems that something managed to penetrate into your thick skull, nevertheless. But what shall we do with Mehera's cakes? Somebody must eat it. Why don't you give it to Kendra? She is grieving over the loss of her chachi. Now, the whole story, this is Kendra Corson, one of the Baba lovers. At that time, she had this darling dog. The dog passed away. And because her dog passed away, the whole story here is to reconcile Kendra Corson, our darling Kendra Corson. There was an unexpected turn for this episode. While Chachi was crossing the gate to the everlasting hunting fields, she managed to swindle Cerberus, the gatekeeper. As is the case with male monsters, Cerberus simply lost his head while saying the gorgeous Chachi, and she managed to sneak inside the court. I personally was bedazzled for 3 days after visiting Baba's court, so don't put the blame on me. The court Abdal was hiding again between Moses' toes, Baba kept on laughing at my plight, so Chachi, like all clever ladies, simply leaped upon the celestial table and gulped Mehera's cake at once. Now I'm wondering how far Baba can go in order to make his Kendra happy, since Chachi became God-realized before finishing normal evolution, the involution. Will she continue taking physical form as a perfect being, a perfect God being, or dog being? This is the question. Will she come back as a Messiah or the stray cats? I'm sure we will have soon more news about this unprecedented occurrence. I put like this skit.
Very sweet.
How all this came to my mind, I really have no idea how it's coming. It was just happening. It kept on coming to my mind. I was telling this story. I was sitting in my imagination, looking at Baba. I was telling him this episode, making laugh. That's the whole point. But you see, that there always a moral with all these stories, a moral for all the Baba lovers to look at. Just do your best, keep on working. Don't wait for any future events. Forget all this God realization. It's all in our imagination. I participated in the Thursday group of reading the keep on finding Baba's all discourses from the 20th creation and its causes. And we speaking about all the kind of mysteries and the sanskars and God realization and who is advanced on the plane, and many Baba lovers are concerned. Who is advanced on the plane? Who is advanced on the plane? What's going to be with all of us? It's immaterial. As far as I'm concerned, we should forget about all this spiritual advancement. We just have to do whatever we have to do and relax with the whole thing. I don't care about wars, no wars, dissolution of humanity, problems of humanity. I just do whatever I need to do on a daily basis, focus my attention on the beloved and his Mehera, and the rest is immaterial. Who cares? It's none of my business. So that's who it is. That's what happens. You become Baba realized. You don't care about anything but him. But this, of course, nothing to do with God realization. Maybe one day you will get there and eat the Mehera's cake. You will find out what it is.
I agree, Etzion.
So, okay. So I hope you enjoyed this session.
I did.
Wonderful.
Very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. See you next week.
See you next week.
And I'll stop the recording.